What is it, Sunday?
Sunday.
How's your Sunday going so far? Awesome. Good stuff. A++. Nice. Awesome. Okay, hi. Welcome to my Q&A / storytime / whatever the heckers we end up talking about for an hour panel. You get to pick my brain for an hour. It's awesome. There's like no plan whatsoever, which is so different from my other panels. You have no idea. As I've mentioned like so many times, I'm such a micromanager for panels, and I'm used to like planning things out to a T and having a backup plan and then a backup for the backup plan and then contingency for the backup plan. And I walk in here and I'm like, what's the plan? Right, there is no plan. What is life? So I'm just having an existential crisis right now, if you can't tell. If you can't tell, it means I'm doing it right. It's fine. So yeah, basically, you can ask me literally anything, as long as it's age appropriate and family friendly, because that's what KuroNekoCon's all about, guys.
Ha.
Yeah. Ha! Yeah. So pop your hands in the air like good kids in school, and we'll call on you a ring and try to get to as many people as possible, but you know we try. And yeah, okay, I'm seeing some hands. I think you had yours up first. You're in the front.
What's your favorite aesthetic? Oh.
Wow. Guys, we are asking the important questions here. The deep stuff right off the bat. Shoot, man. I don't get asked this very often. I'm put on the spot. I like blue a lot. Let me just set the ground rules here. I like blue a lot. My wardrobe is 90% black and blue. I dress like a bruise, it's fine. I like blue things, specifically bright aqua blue, which is a problem because it's hard to feel like a mature adult when everything's just like bright, vibrant blue that you can see from space. So you know what, life's a struggle. I do what I can. I like blue things a lot. Also black furniture.
Yes.
Black furniture just makes me really happy. I swear I'm not going through a phase, Mom. You don't understand me. It's fine. Yeah, I like black and blue things, and that just sounds awful, but it's true. Yeah. You with the blue hair, because I'm attracted to blue right now. Hi.
Okay. You would love my couch.
Good.
It's blue and black.
Good. When can I come steal it? I need more of it.
Okay. But do you think body confidence has a lot of stuff to do with being confident in your cosplay?
Yes. Confidence in general, in whatever it is, has a lot to do with confidence in cosplay. Because I'm a huge believer, let me just set this out right now, I'm a huge believer in anyone can cosplay, no matter what your age, your gender or gender identity, no matter what your body shape or body type, your skin color, anything. No matter who you are, what you are. Yes, even your dog, I've seen it happen. No matter what you are, you can cosplay and have a blast, because cosplay is about having fun, and people have fun doing different things, which is why people cosplay for different reasons. So if you have confidence in yourself and what you're doing and whatever you're trying to get out of your experience, you get out what you put in. So if you put in confidence, you're gonna feel good afterwards. You're gonna feel good during it. Yes, good stuff. Hi, Yuri, what's up?
What are some major tips you have for new cosplayers?
Ooh, that's a tough one because I get this question all the time, and what I usually end up saying is, that's really general. Where do I start? I don't like typing on phones. General advice for beginning cosplayers can turn into a lot of really cliche phrases like, have fun. And then it's like, what now? But, I mean, it sounds kind of dumb and lame, but it's really true. Like, you will get out of your experience what you put in, and you don't have to be perfect. Don't try to be perfect for your first one, your first several, your first few years of cosplay, because there's always going to be somebody that you're going to think is better than you. That's just human mentality. But don't let that stop you, because you're doing it for you, and you are not cosplaying for somebody else. That's one of the biggest mistakes you can make. Don't do it for someone other than yourself. Because then you're just gonna constantly be having like confidence issues, and you're just gonna be like, I'm not as good as that other person I look up to. I obviously shouldn't cosplay that character because I'm treading on territory. Cosplay what you want and enjoy yourself and have a good time. My contact is like sticking on a weird spot on my eyeball. It's fine. The struggles are real. But it's just do it for yourself. Don't try to be perfect right off the bat, and there's always room to improve. Take it step by step. Start off with something easy that you know you're going to have fun with, and then take it step by step. You know, I've met some people that literally take it step by step, where the first year or so they focus on just getting really good at wigs. They'll start off with something, and then they'll practice styling, they'll practice cutting wigs, and then like the next year they're like, okay, I feel pretty good about wigs now. Let's tackle makeup. And then they'll do that, and then they'll be like, yes, time to like get down and like actually learn how to sew. And you don't have to do it in that order, in any order you want. Some people have base foundational training in sewing already or whatnot. Other people don't, and you start somewhere. You can start off buying your cosplays, start off thrifting them, doing alterations. There's no right or wrong way to cosplay unless you're a jerk face about it. That's the one wrong way to cosplay. But everything else is fine. As long as you're not hurting somebody else, what you do is your business and yours alone. Yes?
So what was your first cosplay? Like, how did you get into it?
One question it's fine. My first cosplay was a train wreck, but aren't they always? No, true. My first cosplay was actually a really obscure character that nobody flippin' knows about. The heroine of a very obscure Japanese otome game, for those of you that don't know, is a visual novel or dating sim, basically, by the name of Haruka Narutoki no Nakare, which does have a rough English translation of like Haruka Beyond the Stream of Time. It does have a manga adaptation and an anime, anime was good. Animation got real shoddy, but it's like 90s, so what do you do? But basically, long story short, ordered my first wig from eBay. Perfect color, nailed on the color, botched the bangs. Real bad, because you know the first time you cut straight across bangs? What do? You cut straight across. Don't cut straight across. That's the one-way ticket to get you straight into misery. So botched the bangs, wore almost no makeup, ordered the cosplay, you know, from China, as one often does, and of course it didn't show up on time because I didn't know that they were making this thing from scratch, of course, across an ocean, and it takes processing time and then the shipping time, and it doesn't actually happen when you want it to. So the main part of the cosplay that actually makes the character look like how she does and recognizable didn't show up, so of course I got together with me mom, and we went to Goodwill and grabbed a dress that was way too big for me and tailored the heck out of it, and then I went to con and people took pictures of me because I was with my sister, who actually did the cosplay herself and took proper time to actually do it. And I was with her, so that's the only reason. But I still had a great time, and then I went back to cons and didn't look back. I learned a lot of things from that. Learn from your mistakes and experiences. That's all you really gotta do. Fluff. Hi.
So this is gonna sound a little bit weird, but I kind of noticed when you were doing like the lip sync battle and I was in the way back row, what kind of face makeup do you do? Because your skin is flawless.
Yes.
Rip another. Hi, is this a popular topic of conversation or something? Okay. That's really awesome. I learn new things every day. You know, I'm really sorry to say that unfortunately a lot of it is genetics. I really don't break out very often. Right now, what's funny about my breakouts is that they're really symmetrical. And they're always here up, only on my face, never anywhere else. I'll get one like middle of my forehead, or like middle of the center of my nose, or like two sides of my nose. Right now, I have two like perfect like chin snake bite things going on. Hopefully, if you can see them, you're too close. So I don't break out often. When I do, it's in a really obvious place, but usually only in ones or twos, so it's like kind of manageable. I have a really bad skin routine, which is a non-existent one. I moisturize in the winter, only the winter, and I use Sometimes, not every time. Consistency's not my middle name. And I use makeup that you can find in a drugstore. That's one of the big myths, is like, oh, in order to get like a really good face for cosplay, you gotta get like the really expensive Ben Nye stuff. Like, you gotta get the legit makeup. You gotta find a dealer and get your makeup from them. No, you don't. No, you don't. You can find some really awesome dupes or just like cheap stuff. Cheap's relative because it's makeup, but any stuff you can find from just like a Rite Aid or a Fred Meyer or like any place like that. It totally works. You just have to use trial and error and find stuff that fits, and which is a struggle for me because I'm actually a ghost, and so most things in the palest shade are actually giving me like an orange suntan, but that's, you know, it's a struggle. We get by day to day. Yes.
So much.
Yes, you've had your hand up for a bit.
What's your favorite cosplay there?
All the hardest questions that I get all the time and never have answers to. It changes just with new cosplays that I make. At the moment, I'd still say that probably the one I'm most proud of and the one that I have the most fun in is probably Chat Noir. I get questions all the time being like, is your Chat Noir cosplay like dead or something? Like, when you get a cosplay Chat Noir again, because we want to ask you to do cat things all the time. I've loved it too hard. I'm sorry to say it, it's basically on its last legs. So I need to honestly just remake the whole thing before I can wear him again. I'm gonna hate myself. First time making that was terrible. And thank you, I've learned, thankfully. I'm still probably gonna do this exact same thing again, but I'm gonna use saran wrap the first time now, so it's fine. Yeah, it's probably Chat Noir. I'm proud of that one. You
State the obvious.
I wish I could say you were the first person to say that. Also the first person to say that it was the obvious thing, but you're not. Because I read YouTube comments and things happen. Yeah. Hello.
What is the weirdest thing you've done for cosplay?
Oh.
PG version.
I'll come back to that in an hour when I go through all the things I've done for cosplay. What is the weird? I feel like friends of mine would be able to come up instantly and be like, okay, well they did this that one time, and I'm sitting here being like, what qualifies as weird? That's cosplay, like you have to be more specific. Error 404. I don't know, probably just like the process of making cosplays, if that counts. Because like when you're in cosplays, what honestly is weird? Right, point being. I mean, like making Chat Noir, in order to get the piping lines correct for the contour lines of his suit, I basically put on the suit and I went to my sister, gave her a chalk pen and said, make them match. And I stood there like this and she drew the lines on my body while I'm wearing this catsuit, except the chalk didn't want to go on this performance fabric. You had to push really hard. And I have a really high pain tolerance. I'll say this right now, like not a lot of things actually make me really uncomfortable. So I'm like sitting there minding my own business, like falling asleep, it's fine. And then I take the suit off and then I'm like, what are these lines on my chest? Perfectly replicated bruises around my whole upper body. And I was like, time to put on a long sleeve shirt and don't walk around my parents. Too late, Mom came downstairs and was like, I got so many questions. And I'm like, don't ask them, please. So there's that, if that answers the question. Yes, you straight back here. Dave, you with the shades.
Hello, need more blue dab.
Oh.
Okay.
You know, it has to happen at least once, right?
Do it.
Now I have like, now I'm wondering, do I do like the really chill dab, or do we do the really extra one that I always do? Really extra one, I don't know, I just... Okay, moving on. That didn't happen at all. Hi. Save me. Change the subject, clock's ticking.
Even yeah.
You know, wow, I just saw that I have somewhere I need to be. I'm just gonna... No. The meme is dead, let it die. Yes. Let it die. I'll fight you. You can't beat me up, Batman. You in the way back over here.
What types or styles of makeup do you find yourself always using in cosplay?
Depends. Can you define like types or styles
Like
of makeup?
a certain style of eyeliner or certain pieces of makeup that you find yourself always using?
Waterproof liquid eyeliner with a felt tip. Always my lifeblood that's on my face right now. Oh yeah. I went for a while. I used to use primer a lot when I first started cosplaying because I was like, oh yeah, dude, that's like obviously what you want to use because everybody uses it. But then I was like, I don't know if it's actually helping, so I stopped using it. And then of course I'm like, oh wow. So I started using primer again, and now it's not happening. So primer's good. Maybe use that, make a good investment. I don't know, it really depends on the character though for like aesthetic styles of makeup because every character, I do always do something at least slightly different for every character they do. Like Viktor, for example, like for Tsukiyama yesterday, I did both top and bottom eyeliner to like do the to do that with your eyes, make them go that way. For Viktor, I do that with the top to just extend a wing out, but I never point it up because that makes it look too girly in my opinion, and I just try to make it longer. But then for the bottom, no eyeliner because that's just too much for him because he does have a more natural look. That's just the animation style of Yuri on Ice in my opinion. Everybody does it differently. I always look at other cosplayers for reference as well to see if I can find a cosplayer with a similar face shape or eye shape to myself and then see if I can like pick and choose like what techniques look okay and then test it out. It makes it sound like I actually do makeup tests. I really don't. I just wing it. That's my life. Just wing it. Always. Yeah, it really varies, but there are like certain like specific makeup brands that I have found I use a lot, mostly because they actually match my skin tone, which is really hard to find. But that's really it. I'm not loyal to brands apart from that. It's just like, oh, what makes me look just as ghostly as I already am? Good, I want that one. That's my shopping regime. Yes, you over here.
Do you have a cosplay that you kind of dreamed of doing but haven't done because of sort of the construction requirements for it? Like, if you had an infinite budget and a full workshop with all the tools you could have, what cosplay would you build?
Oh boy. Oh man. For a while, at least, it was Dark Mousy from D and Angel, but I finally actually recently finished cosplaying that darn guy. So that was like a dream achieved of mine. I still want to make his outfit from the last episode of the anime though, but that jacket is entirely leather and has like 8 buckles on it, and I'm actually gonna so I'm dreading that a lot because I haven't worked a lot with pleather before. I've done the research on all the tips of like things to help with that, but I don't want to actually do it. I don't want to actually do that. Also, it's weird because like I have a lot of dreams of certain characters that I want to cosplay, but it's rarely the construction that scares me. It just never works out with my priority list. Like Kishu from Tokyo Mew Mew, like my childhood. I'll hopefully have him done for KuroNekoCon in October, finally. Wanted to cosplay that guy for years. It's never been the construction, it's just like, oh, but I'll have to like actually get liquid latex and like spirit gum to actually cooperate with giant elf ears and like, I got to show the tummy and like do all them sit-ups and prep for all that good stuff. Abs of Steel. Also Grell Sutcliffe from Black Butler. But I hate long wigs. Long wigs actually suck and I avoid them like the plague. I hate them. Have you noticed that I never wear long wigs? That's why. I hate them with a burning passion of 1,000 suns.
They tingle so easily.
Right? And like, you can even get an artist silky and like, oh yeah, it's gonna hold up a lot better. But it's still gonna tangle eventually. There's just no avoiding it. It's an inevitable future. And so, I just find ways to just avoid it and be cowardly from them. So I'm like, you know what, I'll just probably cosplay Young Grell. Because not many people cosplay that and I don't have to deal with the long hair. So I'm like, yes, I win either way. And I get to just wear a lot of black, spiffy suit stuff, which always makes me happy, so. Avoiding your problems. Good stuff. You over here on the side.
So, I've heard a lot about getting into a character set, but what about getting out of your own head?
Oh. Okay, so like putting yourself and getting invested in a character, but then like separating from yourself?
It might not be a problem that you have, but
and this is weird to me because I like just had the panel yesterday about getting into character, and now I'm like, what was I even doing? I don't know. It's like, it's sort of how if you want to get to this place, and if you're starting here and you want to get to this place, in order to get here, you sort of have to stretch yourself until you just sort of snap the tide that's on this end in order to get as far as you want to go. And it's part of like getting out of your own head and trying to prevent yourself from going back to those fallback sort of crutches of your own mind and being more prone to things like bias or your own headcanons that may not necessarily be something you want to rely on a lot if you're doing an in-character setting. It's a tough thing and it's different for everybody. It's not something that I usually have a ton of issue with just because I've been doing it for so long that I will sometimes actually forget like my own name sometimes. Like if I, like not in like a, that sounded really bad, but like there will be times when I'm like at a con and if someone like calls out my name, I won't react at all. But if someone calls out my character name, I'll turn and be like, yeah, what's up? I get into this zone where like I am a different person and there's a separation there and you have to sort of be like, hey, you're real. And I'm like, yes, hello. I knew that. Well, talk to me. It's fine. Again, it's fine, it's not fine. Yeah, it's different for everybody. It's a hard question to answer. You, straight back here, yes. You, other shades, sticker shades.
Yes.
Yeah, I know it's a, have you heard the good word about Homestuck? Buddies, I opened that webpage like once, years ago, once. Tally marks have not continued. I don't have anything against Homestuck, I just really just couldn't understand it, it wasn't my cup of tea.
You can't fight the dog.
I've done pretty okay these past like 5 years though.
Is that a challenge?
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh crap.
Fight me. Watch me. You hear the hat.
Between your cat children, Yuri or Chat Noir?
Chat Noir, hands down. I enjoy that Yuri as a character exists. Actually, I should have asked if you're asking me in or out of character, because then the answers, of course, are going to be different. Like, Chat Noir, who exactly is that? I don't understand. Out of character, Chat Noir, obviously, hit that button. Because I actually love him so much. I really like cats. And he's my beautiful son, and I'll protect him forever. I enjoy Yuri as a character, but he's never been like one of my favorites from Yuri on Ice. I enjoy that he exists and that he's there to fulfill a spot of like personalities in this character dynamic that is part of the show. He's not one of my favorites. So yeah, straight back here in the middle.
So when doing characters with accents, how do you go about dealing with that? How do you get the accent right? How do you present it and talking to people?
Listen to actual credible examples. a lot. Don't always go off of like an English dub of something because they're typically not authentic from that region and they're doing their own imitation. And it's sort of like with every imitation, it goes down the line and becomes more polluted, so to speak, and so you start to lose the authenticity in that really quickly. If you can go on the internet and like literally research just like actual, like take Viktor for example, listen to actual Russian people speaking English to you as many times as you can. Listen to people with different voice ranges until you find something that you like. Listen to it, practice it. Practice it to several people and see if they buy it. Practice really does help. And doing impressions is always something that I've always really enjoyed doing, and so it's just, I'll do it without realizing it. Even at work, people will like come up to me and I'll just like greet them in like a different voice every day, and they're like, who are you? Don't ask me questions I can't answer. It's complicated. It shouldn't be, but it really is. I'm sorry, I'm like this. But yeah, listen to examples and practice a lot. And ask for other opinions and get feedback. Get comfortable doing it in front of people so that you don't end up like falling over your words. Because that'll still happen. Because like I've barely actually practiced a Russian accent. I will freely admit this, I'm terrible. I don't always practice what I preach. I try. We all make mistakes. But I've at least listened to Russian speakers a lot, and I've avoided like English dubs or like voice actors in movies or something that I know aren't actually Russian, so that I'm not taking the facts from an improper place, if that makes sense. Stevani?
Would you ever want to become a voice actor?
Hector, yes. Voice acting's always been something that I've actually been really interested in, but I just never really knew where to start, so I just didn't bother. That's where people are like, why aren't you a model? And I'm like, well, how does one do that thing? So I didn't do the thing, because I didn't think about how to start doing the thing that it is. But yeah, voiceover work is definitely something that's always intrigued me a lot, and I've always sort of like had that wistful fantasy, like, oh, I'd like to do that. That'd be kind of fun. Yeah. Didn't actually do it though, because I'm too lazy to find out how to actually do those things. I'm too lazy. You right here.
So the hairline on this wig and this wig cap is really itchy. How would you recommend dealing with that?
When was the last time you watched it? Sorry to like call you out right here in the middle of this room, but like.
This was brand new.
Okay.
That's why.
That is actually could be why. Depending on the maker of a wig and the way it's constructed and what it's made out of. I guess my phone just like been awake this whole time. You shush. Depending on like the maker of the wig and its general quality and its materials, some materials on the hairline of wigs are just itchier than others, and sometimes if they're too new, they'll have just like whatever's on them fresh out of the bag or the package that's just like not good for your scalp, and so you're doing this all con. So maybe try shampooing it, giving it a good wash, letting it soak a little bit, even in like fabric softener, even it'll make it smell nice and clean and fresh. If you want like a good shampoo to wash wigs with, Mane and Tail is a good brand that a lot of cosplayers recommend. They have conditioner too, it does good stuff. So if you wash it, let it air dry. If you don't know how heat resistant your fibers are, don't blow dry it necessarily, or like just blow dry it on like cold air. Just let it dry overnight or something and then try it that way. Also, if you wear your wig cap just behind where the actual hairline of your wig goes, it will also help you avoid pressure headaches. Because then it's like two things pushing down on the same spot, and that just makes you miserable all day long for the rest of your life while you're wearing this thing. Learn that the hard way. So yeah, avoid that. And that can also help it reduce a little bit of the itch sometimes, because it's like two different materials that are just like hiding them on your scalp. So avoid that if at all possible. Cheshire grin back here.
So what makes it worth it about this con to actually keep coming back and keep going to cosplay and things like that?
For me personally, it's like the collective experience. It's so many different things because cosplay is like an amalgamation. Sorry, I like big words. It's like an amalgamation and a collective of all these different facets that I love so much. It's the creative process of sewing things and crafting things. It's the acting of being in character and hosting like in-character stuff or panels. It's the performance aspect, which is something I'm used to, of being in front of audiences and giving entertainment and making someone laugh and smile. It's the socialization, because I'm an extrovert and I gain energy from people, and I'm a people person and I like meeting new people and making people happy by doing all of the things above. And it's networking, because I like organization and business in my life. It's all kinds of different things that all together make this atmosphere and this environment that you can rarely find somewhere else that's going to give you the same fulfillment that it gives me from other places. So I don't know, there's a lot of reasons. If there weren't that many reasons, trust me, why would I be doing this with my life? Because cosplay can actually equate suffering, but we do it anyway because there's always something about it that we love too much to give it up. Yes? Yep.
Okay. I know you don't really like this question, but are there any plans to do Voltron cosplay in the future?
Yes. I do like Voltron a lot. It took me too long to start watching it, but I did watch it. I'm honestly waiting until I finish watching season 3 when it comes out, because all the characters I'm most interested in are season 3 exclusives, basically. Nothing's been decided on for sure. Like, of the main paladins, I can't like commit to just one. I've thought about Shiro a lot. As everyone's like, Spider's dead. Please, I'm like, just calm yourself. Shiro I thought about a lot. Keith's always just been aesthetically pleasing to me, but I don't know if I necessarily enjoy being his character as much. He's too serious about things sometimes, and sometimes cosplaying those characters is just kind of like, it's not out there enough for me. But friends have actually collapsed on the floor and touched my shoes and like begged me to cosplay Prince Lotor. Since the trailers, I find myself becoming weaker. So we'll see about that. He's on my radar. And then we'll see what happens with Matt as well. I need to know more about these characters, because if I want to cosplay someone, I have to know them and fall in love with them for some reason or other. I never cosplay something that I haven't understood. So I will not commit to something until I've actually watched the whole thing. So post season 3, talk to me. And then I'll have a much more concrete answer. Yes, you.
What are you gonna bring up?
I wore it like the one time at KuroNekoCon to do the lip sync. I was on no sleep and actually no food apart from like one packet of fruit snacks. Worked on him basically every night in my dad's garage during con weekend. Was partially held together by duct tape. That was the most rushed cosplay of my entire existence, and I hope to never make that mistake again. The boots are about like a full size too small, so I need to drop another like $75 on those to get a size that's actually 2 sizes too big so they actually fit, and like fix everything. It's actually a piece of train wreck right now in my closet, and I need to fix a lot of things before I actually be proud to wear him again. But I do want to. I'm not retiring him necessarily, he's on hiatus. Yes.
I've actually been cosplaying actually really well.
Mm-hmm.
It's never been up to par with how I would like it to be. Do you have any advice for that?
Maybe, sort of like what I mentioned before, maybe it would help to sort of zoom in and focus on really tiny things step by step. Instead of focusing on like the whole bigger picture, which can just be a lot to tackle at one time. Maybe like if your wig styling isn't like as fantastic as you like it to be, or like your makeup isn't quite as on point or on fleek as you like it, or the costume craftsmanship isn't quite like, it doesn't have the presentation value you want. Find out what your priority list is and maybe tackle the smaller things first that you can immediately get, because the small details can often make a big difference. Your cosplay can be like, yeah, that's pretty good stuff. Your wig can be like, yeah, but if your like face looks good stuff, that can be a lot to get someone's attention. Or if your wig is like fantastic, people are like, that wig though, your hair though. And like, even just like those one aspects, even if like the whole picture isn't right where you want, isn't hitting the nail on the head for you, focusing on those one pieces at a time and honing your skills on that and practicing and finding that finesse for those different details can help build your confidence step by step and be like, yeah, I can tackle this kind of styling now. Now I can tackle even harder projects, or like, now that I know how to tackle this kind of wig, makeup can't be that bad, and then you start practicing that. So maybe step by step would help. Yes? I'm sorry, you're saying we're not already? I'm offended. You know, that depends who you ask, because that's a legitimate question. Are they already canon or are they not? And don't actually answer that, that will start a warfare. So we don't want that. But I would like to think that because of all of the positive reactions that season 1 has gotten, and I'm pretty sure that Yuri on Ice is one of those series where the creators are watching us. And they see all you Tumblr lurkers. They see all you people on Twitter screaming about things. They know what we liked. They know what we were upset about. They know what we wished would have been done differently. They know what's gonna sell and what we want to see more of. And so I'm hoping that at least a little bit by little bit, season 2 will touch on more of those aspects that we really enjoyed. And so they will give us probably more breadcrumbs and more tidbits of being like, hey, there's something there. You know it. We're not going to say it outright because we're just toying with your emotions and we're mean like that. But it's there if you squint. And then once in a while they'll do something that's like a big smack in the face because they just like doing that and seeing us all like actually explode. Spontaneously combust on the internet. It happens. They like to see us suffer. Creators are mean like that. Yes, you're right here. I mean, I don't know if Adrian counts. They're the same person. Not really. Okay, no, not really. So apart from those two, it's more like just more versions of Chat Noir, really. Like different, like every alternate universe ever, basically. We'll have to see when season 2 comes out because I know there's going to be a lot of new additions there and a lot of more complexity that he's going to introduce. So we'll see if anybody like strikes my fancy, like what tends to happen. But out of who we know so far, I haven't had that, you know, attraction of like, I want to be you. Hasn't quite happened for anybody else. Chat Noir's, I'm very loyal to him. Hits me right here in the feels. Yes, you back here.
About Marcus Ladybug, what's your favorite thing about it?
Chat Noir? I'm sorry, what?
Chat Noir.
You're just making this difficult now.
I love Chat Noir, but something else.
I can't say that. It's a family friend. Okay. Well, maybe there's a better way I can say it. I enjoy that there's something about it for everyone. Miraculous Ladybug is a very kid-friendly show. I know. We see what we want to see. We know we do. But that's the thing, like, if you look for something, they give you enough to where you can find it and you can see it there. But the kids are gonna be like, yay, yummy stuff, people in spandex suits and saving crime, yay! All kinds of good stuff like that, all the kid-friendly stuff, rainbows and ponies, and yay, sunshine, rainbows. But you can. There's so much chemistry. That's a good word. That's a better word than what I was gonna say. I've never seen a children's show with that much chemistry in it. It's insane. Like, there's so much there, but it's so appropriate. And yet, we can make it so inappropriate if we want to. It's magical. It's miraculous how it works that way. I know, right? That's one of the things I like about it, is just that it's very versatile and it's very open to interpretation. That's one of the things I really like about it. Yuri.
Plants or leaves?
Everyone hates me when I answer this question. I actually have not, I've not committed to one single ship in Voltron. Because I've seen enough little tiny like sprinkled tidbits of each one, but not enough to actually be sold on any of them. And so at the moment, I actually really just don't ship anything. I ship Hunk with hugs and happiness.
Yeah.
I ship Pidge with tiny space fuzzies.
Yeah.
That's my ship. Myself with Pidge. I mean, what? I'm actually in love with Pidge. I will
Same.
Like I found Pidge, and right off the bat I was like, oh no. Hi. That's me with Pidge. It's a problem. Yes.
Okay. How is Catbug in here?
Peter's fat. For those of you that don't know, Peter is one of my cats, one of my actual real cats. I should clarify this. Lives at my parents' house. I visit him as often as I can because he's actually like a giant whiny baby if I'm not around. And then he just becomes a happier but still whiny baby when I am around. He's got Siamese and Abyssinian in him, so he's got really long legs, holds things in his front feet, and then cries a lot. A lot! Constantly. And I'm like, Peter, I love you, but shut up! I get it, you want love. Just come closer. No! You should come to me! It really is. He's awful. But Peter's fine, he's fat, he's overweight, basically obese at this point. He's old, it's fine. If he's enjoying life, it's whatever. Catbug, both of my cat bugs are actually great.
You have two? What? I was not aware.
Oh, honey, you must be new here. No, you're not. So I have the first catbug, which is like yay big. I will admit I dropped $50 on that thing at a con, and I don't regret a single cent of it. Softest thing ever. Makes a great hug buddy. It's great. And then I always told myself as Chat Noir, I wanted a tinier cat bug that I could actually carry at cons. I want to make a baby cat. Nobody steal this idea, it's mine. I want a tiny cat bug, and I'm gonna make a baby harness. And I'm gonna carry him on my chest, and then whenever I'm standing in line for something, I'm gonna bounce him. And it's gonna be great. My child, mine. And I looked for about maybe a year at all the cons for a tiny cat bug, and I never found one until, what con was it? I don't know, they all blur together. I found a tiny cat bug that's like yay big. You know, he's a small baby. And small baby is much easier to carry around. So I have a big cat bug and then I have a baby cat bug. So I have two cat bugs and they're both lovely. They have a little corner in my bedroom at my apartment where they like to hang out with my other plushies that I probably shouldn't have, but I do anyway. Same. I've had to put limiters on myself. I cannot buy any more plushies because you don't do anything with them. They just take up space, but they're just cute and you want to know that you have them somewhere. It's a problem. It's bad. Yes. How long do we have? Okay. I try my best to do slightly different voices for every character that I cosplay. I usually try to mimic whatever voice actor of theirs is my preferred one, whether it's like an English dub or the Japanese seiyuu or what have you. Just outside I was talking to some geese. Apparently that was pretty convincing. I didn't know that was a thing, but apparently I'm now a goose. You all already know about the cat noises, and we're not going to talk about those. Accents. I did a whole Instagram hour live stream in a British accent once. That was pretty lit. You know, it varies. It's a lot going on. I enjoy them too much. Is the general answer. So I couldn't give you just one off the top of my head without having a specific direction to go in, but yes, Yeah. How many voice impressions can you do? Yes. That's my answer. Yes, you back here. Yes.
Which voice is hardest on your throat to do?
Ooh, excellent question.
Besides that.
True.
Good question. At cons I generally just lose my voice no matter what, so it's hard to say. Maybe. That's so weird. I almost want to say Tsubaki from Soul Eater.
Really?
I know, right? Like, that's not the typical answer that you would expect me to give, but because her voice is like so quiet and high-pitched, and I'm used to pitching my voice lower for all of my male characters, and so like, talking as her is weird, man. I don't like it. It's like, oh, all of a sudden I have to talk like this, and I have this really high and pleasant and really nice voice because I deal with a really obnoxious person, and I'm literally the only person in the world that has the patience to do it. Right? I'm not wrong. And talking like that for too long gets really hard really fast. It's like the extremes of either side of the spectrum are the ones that are like really rough. I guess after a while, Tsukiyama can kind of get there sometimes because his voice is like really low and really velvety, and I'm constantly talking like this, and then it's just after a while your voice is just kind of like stop. Love yourself more. No. It's con. What do you expect? You should be prepared for this by now. It's that kind of dealio. You on the side.
What's your favorite anime?
No. That's actually impossible to answer because
What's your favorite anime right now?
No.
Okay.
You're not going to win this argument, buddy. It's easier if you give me like really specific genres, because like I can't just lump them all into one big space, this big melting pot, pull one out and be like, yeah, that's my favorite out of everything on the face of the planet. It's like, oh, what's your favorite like horror thing, or like what's your favorite of this genre? Then I could like struggle and maybe come up with like a top 3 maybe. But other than that, you're out of luck. I can't help you. Plus there's like, what's your favorite anime? That's not an anime. Can you be more specific? It's like, it's a struggle. It's like asking me to choose my favorite child, except every time I say that, someone always comes up and is like, you say it like that's difficult. And I'm like, you're just a bad parent. and now things are just awkward. Yeah, it's difficult. You in the way back corner.
When you're getting ready to start a new cosplay,
oh boy.
I'm not loud enough.
No, you're good.
Okay, and you're gonna start. So you're gonna start a new cosplay, but there's a technique somewhere in there that you haven't done something before. How do you best determine how to budget your time to make sure you get your cosplay done in time for what you want to wear it for?
but budgeting, time management? I'm sorry, suddenly English is not my first language. Sorry, I don't understand. I come from another country. I'm actually terrible with budgeting, so never ask me how to like spend money wisely because I have dropped way too much on certain characters and I shudder when I think back to that. We don't talk about those times. Time management, also not often a thing when it really should be. Usually time management with most normal things in life, I'm pretty okay at. When it comes to cosplay, I'm terrible. I'm actually the worst. And so, con crunch is always really fascinating, sleep.
Zero. What is that?
Happens. Yeah. It comes down, like, sometimes it helps to tackle the hard things first. That much I will say. Making sure to, like, figure out the parts that you're not sure about as well in advance as you can. Do the research on, like, what are the best ways to accomplish this using this kind of material or something. Doing armor work for the first time, like, making the little pieces of armor accents on my Chat Noir cosplay, for example. I hadn't done like a ton of that before, and so that was one of the first things that I did. I knew how to do the bodysuit, so I whipped that out in like a few hours, but the armor, I spent a lot of time on it, and like each piece probably took about 3 tries to get the shape correct. And I definitely used a lot of probably too expensive of printer paper to be used in such a fashion, but nobody caught me, it's fine. Sorry, Mom. It's fine. But tackling those things that you're not sure about ahead of time so that you have the time to make mistakes is helpful, and then the stuff that is easier, you at least have enough confidence to either get it done or BS it enough to make it look okay on the outside, so where you can maybe like spruce it up later if you have to. That's about all I can say about that, because I'm actually awful at that. I'm terrible. Hi, you're right here. Big cat, yes.
Do you like My Little Pony?
You know, that's a complicated question, actually. When I was younger, I was actually like obsessed with it. And I mean, like, I have my little, and I will say this in present tense, I don't do anything with them anymore, but I still have them. I have My Little Ponies of every single generation that exists, all the way down to like the old first gen My Little Ponies. The ones with like the really like wise faces, the really pudgy bodies, the steel, was like all the steel wool for hair, that kind of dealio out there. I have a good few of those. I have the next ones, which are like the tiny streamlined ones with the big sparkly eyes, and like the really like plasticky ones that have a little bit less squish to them. Like the tiny ones, I have those. And then there's like the current ones, which are back to the pudgy bodies, but with the bright, happy, animu eyes ones. There's those two. Like, I have a ton of them, actually. I don't do anything with them, but they're there. I'm not into it really anymore, but I appreciate that it exists, and I've heard like really A+ things about the show. That it's usually like, it's really good, it's positive, it has good things about it, and it's not like trying to sprinkle in any weirdly objectionable things that not everybody's gonna catch. That kind of thing. So I respect it to a degree. I respect it. Respect the ponies. You here in the corner.
How do you feel about Jean-X
Unfulfilled. Everyone dies! You know, it's, again, like, for me at least, Attack on Titan is a series that I really just don't ship things with, because that's really not what it's about, and you really just can't expect happy things.
No.
Would you like to suffer? Please, imagine these characters in a relationship that's probably not gonna last. Thanks. Yeah, in terms of ships for Attack on Titan, I have almost none, really. And so it's not. Jean-X Marco, I'm like, I just want to go up to Jean and like give him a good pat in the back and just be like, tough break, man. just ride it out on a horse or something, whatever it is, yeah, I'm gonna go. It would just be really uncomfortable for everyone. Yeah. You right here. You see that? Like that's like somehow easier to answer or something? I'm trying to think of one just like, what?
Emoji movie.
What emoji best describes my emotions to this right now?
No.
Cheers. Just this one. Off the top of my head, at least one that I really enjoy is Ender's Game.
Yes.
That one gave me a lot of feelings, and also Ace of Butterfield. I've been following that kid throughout like his whole career now, and I love that child.
Yes.
He's beautiful and very talented, and I watch everything that he's in, even if it sucks. Because he's in it, and I watch it for him. So Ender's Game was pretty swell. Yes.
So have you seen BBC's Merlin?
Nah. Oh, really? My BB, good. I actually watch very little TV. I used to as a kid, and then I just kind of stopped and found other things to do, and then I just never went back. Because I watch YouTube now. That's basically my TV, and it's different, but it's not. I don't watch it. Yeah, that's me as a person. You right here. Fluff. Cool. Did I not say we were going to talk about this? You know, what's convenient is that I often like to just completely block out those numbers from my memory. I do distinctly remember, like, actually, now my brain's failing me. It's either, this is a big wide range, but they're both really awful numbers and it just gets worse, so it's fine. Which cosplay was it? I know one thing was either 200 or 600 bucks. Oh, right. I'm not good with budgeting. Don't ask me about it, because I will give you nothing but really poor advice, which is no advice. It might have. Was it Chat Noir? I wouldn't be surprised if it was Chat Noir. It was probably Chat Noir, to be honest. Metaton was like maybe a close runner-up, as well as Tsubaki, actually. And Tsubaki, not because of what actually went into the costume, but because I bought everything for it like 2.5 years before I actually finished it. I started it and it sat in the corner in my closet for a good 2.5 years. I went back to it, decided it was awful, and remade a lot of things and got new material because I realized that 2.5 years ago me was really dumb and didn't know how to costume correctly, and so I wasted a lot. But as a result, she ended up being a lot of stuff. Yeah, it was not good. Yeah. Yes.
What cosplay took you the longest to make?
Does Tsubaki count because it was like 2.5 years of like delay time? No, probably not. It's hard to say because a lot of cosplays, because I'm bad with time management, is that, you know, I'll start gathering up stuff and then I'll like do little bits here and there and then that'll take me so long, and then like the week or 2 weeks before con, I'm like, I should have this done by now. Just like just whip it out as fast as I can. And then there'll be like days of like a break here and there where I just break up with the costume and we don't talk for a while because we're having an argument and we need space, and then we come back and we talk it out like adults, and then our relationship is well repaired. My Tsukiyama suit jacket.
Oh.
First time using like a legit men's commercial pattern for a suit. Men's clothes are great, but they suck to make.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, men's clothes are great because they're much better quality and very durable. Don't make them. Because they're actually terrible. Unless you're me and you make shortcuts to everything because they actually put like 5 unnecessary steps in there that you don't actually have to do. Learn how to skip things in patterns. Just skip everything you possibly can. Okay. Okay, it's like 2:29. Rip. Okay, so that's like nearly basically all the time we have left. So thank you for stopping in. Thank you for picking my brain for an hour. It was a good time.